This recording is an explanation of the project, a Zobot, which is built at Chennai, Ramakrishna Math, Chennai. Hello, I'm Vihan Akshay from Team Blackbuck, and I'm a final year student from the Engineering Design Department of Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. Apart from killing more than 58 lakh people, the COVID pandemic has also taken a heavy toll on emotional health. According to the data compiled by US Census Bureau and the National Center for Health Statistics, more than 4 in 10 US adults had developed symptoms of depression or anxiety by the end of 2020, which is a sharp increase over the results of a comparable survey conducted before the onset of the pandemic in 2019. To tackle this, we built Shaktiman. Shakti is for strength and Man is for mind, your emotional well-being friend. We shall talk about this more in the presentation. So to build this, we used the Sales IQ script platform. We chose this for the following reasons. The first one being that Deluge scripting language is easy to code, understand and read, and the syntax is very similar to modern programming languages such as Python. It also has the facility for built-in media integrations and API connections to third-party AI services, which we've used to complete the project. The core or the goal of the chat box is to take care of the emotional well-being of employees in the workplace. This anxiety factor is also coming up to be an issue with students and institutions, and we wish to help them as well. Now, what does my app do? To take care of the user's emotional well-being, it first identifies the emotional state that the target is in. The novelty of the project in comparison to others is that we use not one but 3 different modes to test the user's emotional state. If we find out or if it turns out that the user is in need of help, we use immediate training programs such as meditation, motivational storytelling, or positive words games to help them feel better. Finally, we verify with facial analysis to check if there's an improvement in their emotional well-being. To discuss the high-level architecture, we first have 2 tests, one objective and one subjective. An objective test is where you identify anxiety patterns or levels through the user's actions, and subjective is where we explicitly ask the user. These 2 tests are text sentiment analysis and a self-report anxiety questionnaire. So once we have this, we do some computation to check if the negative sentimental index or the negative anxiety index is greater than a predefined threshold. This basically means that the person is under a lot of stress or anxiety. If that is the case, the bot takes some preventive intervention. Finally, to verify if the user feels better, a facial analysis is used. So to begin with, Shaktiman tries to strike a conversation with you and gets the feelings description from the user using Sales IQ as text input, and utilizes Microsoft Azure's AI Text Sentimental Analysis API to compute a negative sentiment index for the text that the user enters. So we get a number corresponding to the text, where 0 means the person is under little stress, but 1 means the stress level is high. To add to this, we have another mode which we use to test anxiety. So this is a self-report questionnaire, which is also called GAD-7, Generalized Anxiety Disorder Questionnaire 7. Basically, we have 7 questions. Each question is rated out of 3 marks, and As we ask these questions, the bot computes a score. So if the score is 5, then it's fine. If it's close to 10, then it's borderline, and if it is close to 15, it's really high. And this is according to guidelines. And if that's the case, the bot realizes that the user is in need of help, and it comes up with preventive measures as discussed earlier. So one of it is it provides a guided meditation session. It can also recite a story, like it can link you up to a motivational story, or it can also play a game of positive words to make the user feel better. After this training is done, a self-portrait picture is requested as an attachment using Sales IQ stored in using Sales IQ. This image is stored in Zoho Workspace, which is then passed through Microsoft Azure Face API, and facial negative emotion index is computed. Now this can be used to ensure that the user has improved or is feeling better, and this is just like a verification for the improvement of users' emotional well-being. So the components we've used here is for each of the questions that we ask as part of the psychological questionnaire, we use single select options, which are input cards. Apart from this, as part of the remedial measure, we play videos which are short meditation sessions, and then we also add links to short inspirational stories. So these are display cards. Apart from this, we use actions such as reply, context, and end, depending on the decisions that are made by the bot. And also for integration, we use visitor sessions to set like get visitor name, negative sentiment score, and anxiety score. So the connections that are used in Zobot are below. First, to analyze the text, we use Microsoft Azure Cognitive Service. That's the first question, and whatever input that the user gives, we send it to the we use the text analysis API to analyze positive and negative sentiment from the text. After that, we use Zoho Sales IQ basically to set get visitor name, set negative score, sentiment score, and anxiety score in the backend. After that, as a third part, to verify the user's facial analysis, like to verify the emotional health, we use facial analysis. And for this, first we ask the user to upload an image, which we store in the Zoho Work Drive, and we generate a downloadable link, which we use for the Microsoft Azure Cognitive Services Face API. This helps us to detect negative emotions in the picture. Each decision that's made, for example, going ahead with this flow, or using facial and then using these different modes, and why certain questions are used, and all of that are research backed, and these are some references that we've used to make some decisions. We'll quickly have a demo of our chatbot. So this is a website that we had built to explain the bot, and this is how the chatbot begins. So talking about the workflow, when the user is in our website, they get the chance to interact with the chat box pop-up. So the chatbot tries to strike a conversation with the user. So here it says, I'm Shaktiman, your emotional well-being friend. Would you like to talk to me? Let's say yes. And then it asks my name, and then it tries to be friendly with me. So I'm just going to say, my name is Vihan. Yes. Okay. So now it asks how I'm feeling today, and gives me a chance to describe my feeling. I'm okay. So how am I feeling today? I'm unsure of how I feel at the moment. I'm anxious about my exams, and I'm worried about my results. So now this text is used for emotion identification by text sentimental analysis of users' feeling using Azure AI text analysis. This is an example of objective test where we try to analyze anxiety implicitly from the user's regular activity. So here it realizes that the negative sentiment is a bit high, so it pushes me to the questionnaire part to understand me better. This helps with further emotion identification using self-report and anxiety questionnaire, which is a form of subjective test where, where we analyze the patient's state from their explicit words. This acts as reinforcement to the previous anxiety check. So, are you feeling nervous anxiety? Several days. This is just an example. More than half days. Worrying too much about different? Nearly every day. Trouble relaxing? Several days. Being restless and it's hard to sit still? More than half the days. Being easily annoyed? Several days. Something awful might happen? Nearly every day. So, based on the results from psychological questioning, your anxiety levels are borderline. Would you be interested in listening to a short inspirational story that would motivate you? So here, if the bot decides that my anxiety levels are high or borderline and require attention, it tries to come up with preventive measures by providing me a motivational story and then a game of positive words to boost my positive thinking. So let's just go with yes. For illustration purposes, we're not getting into the motivational story, but yes, we can play the game. Strength. There's no obstacle that it can't overcome. I control my, let's just say, mood. So that's the wrong input, and it tells me what the right input is. I'm a dash and independent person. Strong. That's sweet. This too shall pass. So after this, they push me to a short meditation session that would ease my anxiety. I'm going to say yes. And it links to a guided meditation video. So after this, Vihan, could I check if things have improved by analyzing your facial emotions or your meditation session after your meditation session is over? So like after these preventive actions, it then checks if the user state has improved by analyzing my facial emotions. So I'm just going to say yes, and then I will be adding a picture. This is not my picture, but ideally it would be mine. So this goes to Azure AI's face API. So your facial analysis indicates your negative emotions are a bit high, and so this is where the bot ends. So for now, it just says that later I could schedule more sessions for breathing and mindfulness that could help you further. So now about our further improvements. The following can be implemented if new versions of Sales IQ and stuff are ready. So the first thing is support for camera video preview. Instead of just sending one image and checking my mood, it'd be better if the camera continuously checks my mood and see if my mood improves as I take all the preventive measures. The second thing is right now we have 3 modes, and the more the modes, the as multimodal as it can get, the better the results would be. So the next thing, one of the suggestions is to use voice recording support that uses tonal analysis for detecting users' emotions. Apart from this, we can also get support for IoT hardware like wearables and neurosensors, which will have health data analysis to ensure that we can verify users' emotional well-being with higher accuracy. Also, every time the user wants to do this chat, we need to make sure that the user does not go through the same set of instructions every time the user goes through the chat, and we should see if there is some way we can resume chat sessions without compromising users' privacy. Support for more robust emotional well-being detection is also required, and assessment and verification using better multimodal techniques is the goal. We can move to questions now.